First thing I got is Darth Vader's helmet. You know, like how I said last night, it was mad angular.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought that was compared to, like, the shininess and, I guess the roundness of the ones in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi are, like, definitely different. Would you think so? Well, you would think so, right? Because it's, like, all... Like, you even said, too, about the shininess, how, like, in this one, it almost looks like battle-worn.
I think it just shows that he's one bad motherfucker.
What, with the...
With having his helmet all roughed up like that, it adds to his, like, you know... Because it's the first time he's introduced as a villain.
Yeah, not only that, but like the concept art that like they show in the documentary of the making of A New Hope, like his helmet looks almost like an anvil or like one of those. I don't know like a train, like the front of a train.
Like a plow in front of a train.
Yeah, like it almost looks like something like that, and like. I guess they kind of got as close to that as they did in like A New Hope, but no, like true that like about him like it was kind of because he had to be like come in as a badass,
show his ferocity.
Yeah, and even though like the only really thing like you see with Darth Vader in A New Hope that's ferocious or like really evil, in the beginning at least, is him choking the rebel. And then besides that, like, you don't see him use his lightsaber. You don't see him use the Force.
But that's what makes it scary. Because you don't want...
I guess so, yeah.
It builds...
Yeah, because it shows that, like, he's protected and, like, it doesn't matter if there's rebels in the way or some shit.
It also shows, like, a reserved side of Darth Vader.
Reserved?
A reserved side, how he's just not...
Sure. Oh, yeah, like, controlled.
Like, he's not like Kylo Ren... taking out his lightsaber, destroying things, and breaking shit up. Now he's very... He knows how to harness his power and use it when he really needs to.
Right. Yeah, that definitely explains, like, his presence, like, in the beginning. And, like, of course, that's, like, the first... When you first see it, that's the first thing you see is pretty much Darth Vader. And, like, you know, Darth Vader pretty much is Star Wars. To begin, like, he is the Skywalker saga. So, but, yeah, and, you know, you see sort of something in Rogue One where that happens, where he actually uses a lightsaber and actually just plows through, like, a fleet of rebels before, like, he gets on the next ship, or, I don't know if that was, like, the beginning, like, to where he gets to the ship. I really don't know, but, like, at the end of Rogue One.
Yeah. He just plows through them single-handedly by himself.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I'm not sure whether the transition is right into A New Hope or not.
I think it's a few minutes before.
I guess so, yeah. So, like, he catches up to the ship, maybe.
Yeah.
While we're also talking about
Right,
Darth Vader, like, I think it'll be good to talk about the duel at the end with Obi-Wan. So, pretty much Darth Vader kills Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's how you see it, really. Even though, like, technically it's arguably not really, or, you know, whatever.
It's like if Kylo Ren killed Luke Skywalker.
But Luke Skywalker died from after force projecting himself. Yeah. But I don't know. I guess
who knows if Obi-Wan was force projecting himself?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. But when you first just see him in the hallway, like, that's not that's not something I really think about until now. Like, it was just whatever. Like, I guess, like, it's not something you really think about. It's just scary, like, as a kid or when you first see it. But, like, when Darth Vader's first in the hallway, like, that's a pretty cool scene. And also to argue about people saying it's a boring saber scene. I mean, of course, compared to the other ones, like, it's not as acrobatic or, you know, whatever. But they throw in a few twirls.
Yeah. No, they throw some... It's more medieval than actually.
Oh yeah,
an
okay.
acrobat. Like, it's very.
Or like Oriental martial arts.
Yeah, I feel like the newer fighting, it's more like Renaissance. It's more artsy, especially with Ray Park being Darth Maul and being a master martial arts weapon user.
Exactly.
And just bringing the new version of fighting to I almost said Lord of the Rings. I mean Star Wars, but it's very traditional. And when I first saw it, I was like, all right, cool. Like I wasn't expecting anything at all. I wasn't expecting any sword fighting.
Right. Now, what about, I guess, the opening scene, of course, like that's been talked about a lot, about, C-3PO and R2-D2, but then, like, you have Luke, like, and something I've noticed about the not the prequels, but the original trilogy and the sequels, is that it gets closer and closer to like almost like human culture. Like it gets closer. Like the original trilogy was a lot more like went a lot more farther like to like like with Aunt Beru wearing a denim jacket and like
them drinking out of a pitcher that anyone has in their house.
Right. Like stuff like that. I guess Han Solo's character, like not his character, but like the things he says, like is kind of very, inlandish per se. But like, and the sequels like sort of get that way in a way, like a very brief way. But besides that, yeah. So like Luke's supposed to be this just regular kid, like farm boy in the galaxy, and I hate the the word farm boy to describe him, because that's not like how he's really perceived as. Like he wants to become a pilot or whatever it is, and he's looking after droids. Like I don't really see him farming at any point. Like,
well, he lives on a farm. That's all they talk about is as far as farming. They don't really show him. He just takes care of those 2 droids that he has to get ready before the harvest. But another thing, I think he just wants to leave the planet because all of his friends are leaving. Biggs in the beginning.
Yeah, when like they're exactly. When they're
Biggs is right. I'm never gonna get out of here.
The something that like I kind of anticipated, like even when I first saw A New Hope, when I was like 6 years old, was seeing Luke like use a lightsaber like in combat. But you don't. But it's still cool to see him use it in training, and Obi-Wan training him, because we already know who Obi-Wan was. Like I guess, but yeah, the scene where he's blocking the remote or whatever it is, like the little sphere or whatever, which is like in Jedi Academy, like in the beginning. So it's really stupid mission, like, but besides that, I thought that was a cool scene, like the pilot helmet with the shield down or whatever.
Blast shield.
Yeah.
Blast shield.
Yeah.
It's funny. Why does Han have that in his ship?
That's true too.
It's a rebel helmet.
Yeah.
Unless Kenobi brought it with him. But why would Kenobi have it either?
Yeah, I doubt that.
So I'm sure it was Han's.
But no, that's a good thing to point out. Yeah, and the the beginning in Mos Eisley, when like Mos Eisley's just introduced, that's a really cool scene too. That like is worth talking about a little bit. The aliens in the cantina.
Yeah.
Like that shit's cool.
It introduces you to the world of Star Wars. That there's not just
hell
humans.
Yeah.
It's like it starts off with just humans. There's no aliens at all.
And this scene is repeated like 3 other times.
Oh yeah.
Like in Star Wars.
Absolutely. I think it's
even in Rogue One.
Yeah.
Rogue One, it was pretty much a part of it was stolen. It's the same 2 fucking guys, like, hey, like they knock into him or something. I'm like, come on, like,
I think George Lucas wanted to capture, not with, I'm not just saying with like Rogue One,
But in Attack of the Clones, like the way they kind of foreshadowed in it, when like in the bar scene with what's her name, Zam, like that was cool. I thought.
Yeah, no, that's what he tries to do, to make you familiar with the environment and what's going on.
Yeah.
To show that Luke and Obi-Wan aren't the only, people. I mean, there's some people mixed up into it. Han Solo's in there.
Right. But yeah, no, I guess like that's some cool stuff to talk about. I mean, there's really not that much like to the movie. Like it pretty much just goes into those sequences, and then we kind of talked about like the end a little bit, or the stormtroopers. I forgot to talk about like the stormtroopers' helmets, like how like they almost look like porcelain compared to like other ones. Like they're just really like, I guess like the uniforms were like really high budget for A New Hope, but that was kind of cool. And the stormtrooper, everything like with the blaster scenes is fucking great in A New Hope. Like all the scenes where the guns are exchanging and like you see all the blasts going by, and like the rebels are like already at the point where they're like screaming like holy shit, like they're just screaming like craziness, or like just going mad hard. But yeah, and the ending with like basically the fly scene, like that was pretty much like, I think you pointed it out, and it's in the documentary for a making of, with where it basically they go side by side with the start, like the ending scene with like the X-Wings, the TIE fighters and everything, and then they cut to, or they just have a double screen, and one of them is like a World War II one of like dog fights. Like,
yeah.
Like I thought that was really cool how they did that. Like it's the same shit. Like it's the same.